A lot of leaders trap themselves into thinking they need to either be a confident leader or a humble leader. But the effective leader knows that it's not a choice. Here's 3 symptoms to look for if you think you might be this kind of leader. 1, you're hesitant around certain people, not everybody. Number 2, overall, the team stops helping. They're not bringing you the feedback needed to be a real learning and improving organization. And the third one, you always feel like you got to make decisions by consensus. Keep people happy. What you'll learn in this video is effective leaders don't choose. Commitment is moving forward. Humility is keeping your eyes open throughout that process. Let's get into it. Think about the last time somebody made you lose your confidence. Not necessarily by something they said, but just by them being there, the way they made you feel. Think about it. You weren't suddenly incompetent when that happened. You didn't forget all your experiences, but it was just a little bit harder to stand your ground than you'd be comfortable with normally or different from other people. Now, think about the advice you get from people in that situation. Be more confident. Or maybe they say, you got to show more humility, be more humble. And if you think about it, the way that's often presented is that they're opposites. You're either confident or humble. But this video is going to show you why they're not. In fact, you need them both working together. Confidence is not simply thinking that you're right or projecting strength, and humility is not being soft or easily swayed. It also doesn't mean that you just go with the preferences of others. Confidence is everything that goes into being willing to act. Think of it that way. And humility is being open to changes that are necessary. And maybe not even changes, but just awareness to new situations. So you're not a confident or a humble leader. You got to have them both. But often we think we need to choose one or the other, and that's a big mistake. We think we need to be 100% driven to action, to accomplish the mission, to stop at nothing on our way to get there. And we equate that with being confident. And on the other hand, you don't want to overdo it. You want to take in everybody's opinion and weigh that carefully. And that's often packaged up as humility or being humble. But as we're going to talk about here, you got to be willing to adapt to the circumstances. So let's talk about them both. Hi, I'm Mike Targus, retired Marine, founder of Center Desk Leadership Coaching. I did 21 years in the Marine Corps leading Marines, retired in 2013, and then I've been in project management, engineering, and sales ever since. So I've seen both sides of leadership, military and civilian. And this channel is about leading who you have, not who you wish you had, but the people that are already on your team. At a glance, confidence and humility can seem like polar opposites, and a lot of times that's what you hear from people. It's real easy to coach people like that. You just pick one or the other, and it's probably reflective of the person coaching you in the first place. You're told things like confidence is being loud or firm or sticking to your decision, and at times it is, but it's more than that. And humility is something to be used because you don't want to offend people. You don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want to drive people out of the organization. That's only a small aspect of what it really is. Neither of these should be taken as absolutes. Confidence and humility should allow you to move forward on one hand, but also have your eyes open to what's going on around you on the other. And you're going to fail when one is present without the other. You can picture a leader, and maybe this has been you. I've done this in the past, where you really give a confident presentation of a clear, strong presentation of the plan. Everything sounds great, but it's fundamentally going in the wrong direction right from the beginning. So you have a false confidence there. On the other hand, the plan may be going fine, and as you're going through this, as you're executing the plan, the team's trying to give you signals that it's off track, but your eyes are closed. You're just charging forward with this false sense of confidence. And that's what confidence without humility looks like. If you and I were working together and you were the leader, that would be one question that I would ask you is, what input from your team have you implemented lately? So think about that question for a second. Has there been anything? You want your boss to listen and incorporate some of your ideas. You have to absolutely do that for your people as well. And you've also seen the opposite. You've got the leader that presents a plan, and then as soon as you kick off, as soon as you start doing something, they change their mind. Somebody got to them, somebody gave them another idea after the fact, and You were going in one direction and now you're going in a completely different direction. The word doesn't get around. People are confused. Why are we doing this? We said we were going to do that. And you're wasting time. And a lot of what leadership is figuring out ways to not waste people's time. And the reason that's important is because when people get a sense that you will do that, the level of effort that you're going to get from the team is going to go down drastically because they think it's a waste of their time. Why are they going to put out the extra effort if it's just going to reverse in the end anyway? So don't think of confidence as being loud. Think of confidence as allowing you to operate in an uncertain environment, to do things you need to overcome those decisions that you're not exactly clear on, but you know they need to be made, and you make them anyway. That's confidence. And if you think about it, anything worth deciding as a leader is going to be, it's not going to be a black and white situation. It's going to be somewhere in the middle. Those are the decisions you're going to be making anyway. The easy decisions, you can just leave those to somebody else to decide. So you're always going to be making decisions in an uncertain environment. And one mistake that leaders can get themselves into is you think that everybody expects you to have the perfect answer, and they don't. What they want is someone that's willing to make a decision. They want their time committed to something worthwhile. It's not going to be wasted. And again, you can think of leadership in terms of not wasting people's time. I mean, if that was your focus, if you could get to the point where you were not wasting people's time, you'd be 80% there, probably more, like 90%. Something else confidence signals to the team is that the situation is being handled. It doesn't mean that we're not going to be open or watching for changes that are needed, but you're reassuring people that you're in charge and you're going to be there through whatever your undertaking is. And why is that important? It may seem obvious, but we have to remember that while people do want to have input on what's going on, they expect you, the one with the authority, to make the decision. And when you do make the decision, what that does is it pulls that responsibility off of their shoulders, and that's what they want. And that's really your responsibility to do that. That doesn't mean people aren't accountable or bought in to execution, but you have to develop a sense in leadership for things that really are your decision to make. And you want to really watch and be careful not to have other people put in positions to do that for you. That's different than failing to delegate or decentralize. The authority rests with you. The final decision-making rests with you. There's nothing wrong with having people do work, maybe even beyond their job description to get them ready for the next step, but you retain the ultimate responsibility for the decision. So to summarize that, you really have a lot of power there, your authority and your ability to take weight off people's shoulders by making those confident decisions. Confidence does have its pitfalls, though. You have to be aware of the danger of overconfidence. We all have confidence we have in ourselves, in our ability to make good decisions, and to maybe overestimate the accuracy of our judgment. Everything you've accomplished prior, now you got to stop and think about this. Everything that you've accomplished in your past builds you up a little bit to the point where you can really overcommit yourself or overlook details. And the real challenge in leadership is, how do you balance when is enough confidence, and how do you know really when the exact right time is to come off of a decision that you make and change directions? Not an easy thing to do. So what do you do about that? You have to be aware that past success can really be a negative in terms of inflating your confidence in yourself unnecessarily, or too much confidence, skewing your judgment. And it's important because depending on how many people that you lead, you have the potential to affect a lot of people with your decisions and spend a lot of money. And that right there is why humility is so essential. You can see that humility is not doubting yourself or having some inability to make decisions and just be caught up in listening to people all the time and not move forward. Humility is really an accurate assessment of our own limits. she's better at that. So my decision should lean heavily on her expertise in advising me which way to go. It's okay for you to make a decision that is entirely based on the inputs of others. And think about this. If you're not using the talent on your team, why did you hire them in the first place? Another way of thinking about humility is it's what allows you to stay curious and engaged during execution after a decision. And contrast that with overconfidence, where you're just charging forward and you all the while are convincing yourself to not take in these external inputs. So overconfidence can really have you close your eyes when you're charging forward. Humility is going to open them back up. And of course, humility has its own downside. Without some checks in place, without that base level of confidence, what you can do is you can find yourself making decisions and constantly revisiting them. And when people see you start to do that, they start to drop. They start to lose interest and respect for you. So what's the answer? Think again. You've got to realize that you live in an environment of uncertainty. Those are the situations that you should be involving yourself in. And the sad part of too much humility or too much openness is you may not even have made the wrong decision. It may be absolutely the right decision. But when your people see you acting like that, they're going to lose confidence to the point where it doesn't really matter because they're not going to be behind whatever you're trying to do. The next aspect of too much humility is decision avoidance. This is when you're constantly pushing things off to other people to handle, not taking the right decisions, the right level of decision making on for yourself. And the tricky part here is it feels like you're involving people. You got a lot of inputs that you're taking in and that kind of thing. But what this looks like is you never get to the decision that you need to make. You're constantly planning. You're constantly putting things off. And people are getting frustrated with you, even though they might be kind of being polite about it. And remember, people do want to have input into the decision, but they don't want to just constantly be giving input. They're going to realize at some point that you just need to make a decision and put it into action. So in a sense, too much input from people is not good either. A good way to think of it is consensus is a consideration, but it's not an excuse or a crutch for you not to make a decision. Do you go back and forth between confidence and humility? Confidence is what's going to allow you to continue to operate in that uncertain environment. And humility is just going to make sure you're open to the circumstances that are affecting you and the team. And you're going to be open to needing to change course based on that. You're not convinced you're on the right course no matter what happens. You can take aggressive action, but you're open to things that might be out there that you didn't see in the first place. And when you're humble, the other thing you're doing is you're projecting stability for the team. People can see that you don't see yourself as perfect or infallible. They feel like they can approach you. And why do you want people, or why do you need people to approach you? It's not to make you feel good. It's not so you can tell them what needs to be done. It's so that they bring you information, so you know what's going on. No approachability, no information. And when you can balance the two, when you can balance confidence and humility, people know what to expect from you. And they begin to see you, the trust starts to build, and they begin to see you as somebody who's wise. And wisdom doesn't mean you have the answers all the time. It's more about you using your judgment and experience for the right reasons and the right ways. It's using all your tools to benefit the group in a way that they're expecting and that is needed. That's part of your mission, part of your goals. It's not just answering questions correctly. And if you can do this, if you can strike the balance between confidence and humility, you're not going to feel the need to be right all the time. And you're also not going to feel the need to cede all the responsibility to the influencers on your team. Maybe you have people with really strong personalities. But if you have this balance, you're not going to feel the need to make those people happy or please them for fear of being steamrolled. So confidence and humility are not separate things. To summarize, confidence is what allows you to operate amidst uncertainty. Humility keeps your eyes open and aware and looking for changes that might be needed based on your circumstances. Confidence says we're moving forward. humility says we're also watching for what's going on. Because when you have confidence without humility, you actually stop seeing what's going on. And then when you have humility without confidence, you're not projecting the stability the team needs to see from you, giving them the confidence that they can fully commit. People don't need to see that you're right all the time. They just need to know that their time will not be wasted with you. If something changes in the plan, you're going to notice it and you're going to respond. This is what it means to lead the team you have, to have the skills necessary to do all of this. It's not by waiting for perfect information. It's not by chasing consensus that you're never going to get. It's not by trying to look decisive or look approachable. It's about acting decisively while remaining open. You can do both. It's about taking responsibility without giving the impression that you think you're infallible. Confidence helps you move forward. Humility helps you adjust. And leadership is not about picking one of the two. It's about holding them both together under pressure when it really matters. So remember, when you lead people, you don't get ideal conditions. You get real ones. And leadership isn't about leading the team you wish you had. It's about leading the team you have right now, right in front of you. And that's what we focus on here on this channel. If this helped you think more clearly about leadership, consider subscribing and following along. And thanks for watching. Remember, lead with confidence and humility. And I'll see you next time. Good luck.